Just because the games are over does not mean that the season is over. That's how the Staten Island baseball old-timers feel as they hold their end-of-season fall event here at LiGreci, Staten.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the third annual Baseball Old-Timers Brunch. My name is Bob Newman. I'm the Master of Ceremonies. I'm the leadoff batter for the team. At this point, I would like just to make a small announcement. We had a loss in the family Friday. Sylvia Rigney's son Thomas passed away. Can I just ask for a moment of silence in his honor? Thank you very much. At this time, I'd ask everyone to please stand for the prayer. Bless us, O Lord, for these thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. Please join me as we honor our flag of our great nation. Please start. God, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome everyone to our third annual awards brunch honoring Bob Mulligan, John Pecoraro, Anthony Vivaro, and Ed Elliott. These individuals were chosen for their contribution to the Staten Island sports community. The baseball old-timers were formed back in 1964 by a group of baseball enthusiasts, many of whom were former players, managers, and umpires. The organization revolved around baseball at all levels. They even played a home and away series with a team from Philadelphia, and speaking to many of the older members, this was something they all looked forward to. Today we are still involved with all levels of baseball and try to keep the tradition of those original members from 1964. After the Advance discontinued the Advance All-Star Dinner, we began honoring the high school baseball All-Stars. We felt it was important that these players should be recognized for their accomplishments on the field. With the help of the high school coaches, we picked the team, and we have and will continue to honor these deserving athletes. 3 years ago, we began the awards brunch because we realized that there are so many individuals who give or have given so much to our sports community who deserve recognition. This year we have chosen 4 individuals who we feel are so deserving and are proud to acknowledge them for their achievements. On the table is a list of our past winners. I would like to acknowledge past winners in attendance today. When I say your name, can you please stand? Nick Bellotti, Bill Calley, Ray Smith, and Bob Steele. In closing, I would like to thank you all for coming and supporting our awards brunch, and we will continue to strive to keep baseball flourishing on Staten Island, as well as doing things throughout our community. I received a phone call during the week from an 80-year-old gentleman that lives in Buffalo, and I talked to him for about 15 minutes, and he was a very passionate fellow, and he was so proud of the relationship that he had with one of the honorees that he asked me if I would please read a letter if he sent it, and I said, of course. So it's to John Pecoraro. Congratulations on your award from the Staten Island Baseball Old-Timers. When we started coaching together in the late 1950s, I am sure neither you or I would have thought that it would have turned into a lifetime career for you. I recall how well we worked together, how we were so successful teaching baseball fundamentals that so many 13 and 14-year-olds wanted to play on our team, so many in fact, that in 1960, instead of turning players away, we formed two teams, the St. Joseph Reds and the St. Joseph Greens, that played in the same league, with you and I switching teams to manage each Saturday. I also remember the year we named one of our teams Peck's Aces. My most memorable game and the most intense sandlot game I was ever involved in was the PSAL City Championship game in 1962, when our Great Hills AC team defeated Queens, that had a pitcher that was a 6'2" left-hander, and we were told that he had not given up an earned run all year. The Queens pitcher struck out 10 and walked 2. Our pitchers, Bob Morrison and Bob Rule, walked 10 and struck out 2. But we won the game 3-2 because we had a great defense, and Alan Striden's fly ball was misjudged by a Queens right fielder. Each team had only 2 hits. A single by the Queens pitcher was the only clean hit of the game. A pitch-out, pick-off play we practiced the week before the game turned out to be the key factor. The Queens team had 16 base runners, 3 were picked off, 1 was thrown out stealing, and 1 was wiped out in a double play. 9 were left on base. We had 9 base runners, but 4 were picked off by the Queens pitcher, 1 thrown out trying to steal. We left only 1 runner on base. Our team finished 23-0 and attended the Look All-America football team luncheon in the Americana Hotel. Although I moved on to a different vocation in life and moved to Buffalo in 1967, you made a very successful career coaching on Staten Island. I am not surprised at your achievements. In those early years, you had an enthusiasm and passion for the game and an eagerness to learn how baseball should be played. But you also had the respect for everyone you encountered on the field, including the umpires. You made playing baseball fun. I am sure that many players you coached over the years enjoyed playing for you. I am proud to have played a role in the beginning of your baseball career as a baseball coach. George Grassa, November 3rd, 2019. And Mr. Peck, I guess he wanted you, he put in articles, team pictures, he's got everything here. And the last thing to show how passionate this gentleman was is he sent me an article that he plays in a senior wood bat softball league. Well, he did a few years ago. And it says here the 77-year-old Grassa was the winning pitcher and held the Sparks to just 10 hits. So, congratulations, Mr. Peck. At this time, I'd like to introduce Tony Navarino, who will start the presentations.
As Yogi Berra says, deja vu all over again, and here I'm moving my hands already again, right? So last week I got an award, and I said this story quickly last week too, so I'm going to say it quickly now too. Coach John Peck, Coach Peck, about, 15 years ago, I called him up, I said, Coach, Danny Messina's winning the CYO Manager of the Year Award. Would you present the award? Yeah, Navi. Call me Navi because I was Navstar's softball team for many years in the Sampson League, run by Freddie Giordano and John Peck, and we got Freddie Giordano's son here, Donnie here, God bless, thank you. So he said, yeah, Navi, I'll do it. So in front of 800 people, and I said, okay, Coach, I want to just tell you, I never told you this publicly. Even though you cut me from baseball, I still love baseball, okay? Cut me from Rudolph High School, right? So he takes me on the side, he says, Navi, that reminds me of a story. I was at the Berry Homes in the men's league. The guy was hitting them out like crazy. At the end of the game, I go, son, hey, who'd you play for? He goes, you cut me. He goes, what year was that? 1981. He goes, I was 17-1 that year. I didn't need you. And passionately, for the winners here, 79, you got Vinny Bellotti. You got your umpire in the house here, Vinny Bellotti, who did the umpire in that game. But I'd like to introduce now childhood buddy of mine, went to high school with him, Dr. Dan Messina, who's doing a fabulous job at Rumsey, trying to rebuild Rumsey. And he's got one of the hardest jobs in Staten Island, and he's doing a great job. If you can come up now.
It's great to be here. I'm honored to really have the opportunity to introduce somebody who needs really no introduction, but somebody who's meant a great deal to me personally. And I know to everyone in this room, and especially to his great players who are here today. I really credit playing baseball with being, baseball being a big part of my life personally and professionally. I grew up in Midland Beach in the 70s during some really, really tough times. Any Midland Beach people? I know Rivera is over there. We grew up in a really rough time, and we survived, and I think a lot of that was due to the man right over there in the corner in helping us stay on the right path. So thank you, Mr. Peck, for that. First things first. So let me first congratulate Staten Island baseball old-timers for bringing us together. I have to tell you, in my job, I go to a gazillion functions, which I'm ready to choke myself at the end of the night, and my wife is like ready to divorce me. But coming here is like comfortable, just a great feeling. It's really terrific. It took a long time for us to come back together, and I thank you guys for doing that. So congratulations on that. I also want to congratulate all the honorees as well, of course. So first things first, let me thank Andrea. Okay, and the wonderful family, the wonderful Pecoraro family. I know you don't need me to say this, but there aren't many people as devoted as John Pecoraro. I know we have a big showing today. The Pecoraro family has come out in force. In addition to Andrea, we got John, little John, who used to wear pajamas with the feet attached to the bottom. I used to visit him after high school, and when I saw him a little while ago, when I first ran into him, he says, "Look, I have no pajamas on with the feet," I said, whatever. But so John, Lara. Now, was Lara the one who threw the guinea pig on the bus? No, okay. Maybe that was Andrea or Elise. Okay, but I do remember that story. 4 grandchildren, 2 sons-in-laws, 2 nieces and husbands, and Sister Linda. So give them a big round of applause. Thank you, Mr. Peck, for the memories. We're so lucky that you crossed our lives, and we have many, many more years, hopefully, together. On behalf of all of your Newdorp Centrals, not Newdorp Cougars, your Newdorp Centrals, God bless you and your family.
Listen, thank you to the baseball old-timers. I appreciate this very much. My fellow honorees, congratulations. You could have waited on Bobby Mulligan for 1 more year. He's got 2 city championships. I only got 1. Makes me look bad, but that's for another story. Danny introduced my family. 19 people sitting over there, near and dear to my heart, that came out. I don't want to, I can't introduce them all. You people will be bored to tears. But I will introduce my 4 grandchildren. You have to meet my 4 grandchildren. We have over there in the corner, they have to stand up when I call their name, Ava O'Donnell and Amanda O'Donnell. Okay. My grandson is here, John Henry Pecoraro III. I can't figure out who he's named after, but we'll figure out later. And my oldest granddaughter is here, Juliana Nicole Kaminsky. There'll be more about her later on. By the way, when you introduced the family, you mentioned Danny forgot 2 people. My good friends, Lenny Perazzo, who I met at Newdorp High School in 1966, and his wife Lola. Once in a while you meet people that they deserve applause. They transcend friendship, and they just become part of your family. There's nothing that we do where they're not included in one way or another. We go through the good times and the bad together, and they are part of our family. So we just had to introduce them. The present Newdorp staff, Ray Smith is here. Rich Rusarito, who is the athletic director here, my old job. Thank you, guys. You always make me feel welcome. For a guy who stopped coaching 30-something years ago, I still get to the baseball dinner. They treat me with a lot of respect, and I appreciate it very much. I have a good friend in the back who was supposed to come with his friend. You've probably heard the name Larry Ambasino. He's been involved in a million things. I'll show you what a great thing the teaching profession is. Those guys were students, and basketball players. I didn't coach them. I was the JV coach at the time. Well over 50 years ago. And 3 or 4 times a year, we still get together for dinner. Larry couldn't be here. He's back in the hospital. He's got some medical problems he's dealing with. But Jimmy is here. Jimmy Signorelli's here. Where are you, Jim? Stand up, Jim. Let them see you, Jim. Come on. One of the best basketball players to come out of Staten Island. 1,000-point scorer at NYU. Scored 100 points in one game. Played 4 years professionally in Europe. Great player. We still get together. 2 people I have to acknowledge right away. Ironically, one of them is gone. Next year will be 60 years. My father. 4th grade education, had to drop out of school. Immigrant parents. For some reason, valued education. Told my brother and I, you're going to college. The friends I hung out with, not too many of them went to college. I'll tell you the truth, I had no interest. But this was not a discussion. I was going to college, okay? The good thing was, once I got there, I kind of found myself a little bit. I was able to manage. Problem was, you're 15 years old. I was a 15-year-old, so I was a little young, 15-year-old senior. And the people are asking you, well, what are you going to do? What did I know? I was 15. I was worried about the next, if I could play on a team or something, a ball game, okay? But baseball was the thing that got me to the next level. Because when I was 15, I was trying out for a baseball team. And I thought I was going to play on the team, and I found out I was too old. I was 6 days too old. So the guy who was the coach of the team says, well, you know, come on, hang around, you can play, you can. So I hung around. Except he got a shift in his job, and there was nobody left to coach. So I became the coach. And for about 5 years after that, there was a team in Rosebank, St. Joseph's Parish, a PAL team, a basketball team. I was the coach. And that's when the light went on. I said, hey, I know what I could do. I could become a teacher. It took me a while. I got there. I could become a teacher. And that's exactly what I did. Now, I told this story to my grandson. My grandson was very concerned. He said, but Pati, they call me Pati. But Pati, you gave up your own career, your own baseball career. So I reminded him. I said, Johnny, I said, I was a 440 hitter. And he looked at me and he says, Pati, 440 hitter? Yeah, that's great. 440 batting averages. No, 440 hitter, Johnny. The game started 5 o'clock. The first organized team I played on, there's guys here that can attest to this. Mikey Giordano, Frankie Giordano, Alan McNally was on the team. Wherever he, Alan leave already? Alan, there he is. My brother coached. My brother. I was my only brother. I couldn't crack the starting lineup. So believe me, I didn't give up much of a career there. I saved it for last because I might not get through it. Juliana Nicole Kaminsky, stand up. Stand up. See this little girl over there? That's my oldest granddaughter. 3 years ago, I was honored. I was a lucky guy. I was honored by the Joe Ryan Memorial Committee. And Juliana and her parents couldn't make it. Because Juliana, 3 years ago, she got a 14-year-old birthday present. She was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Except, she beat it. She's healthy, and here's what I got to say. No, don't point yet. I want to tell you something real quick. She didn't just keep up with her studies, even though it was her freshman year, a month into her freshman year in high school. She didn't just keep up with her studies. She excelled. She was involved in dance, stayed with it. She just came back for some kind of a national tournament, dance competition, whatever they call it, dance competition. She just came back from it. She rocked her SATs, she rocked her ACTs, and some college, some lucky college, next year is going to be very lucky they got her as a student. And my last message, we all read the paper, all those entitled, privileged people we're hearing about that bought their way into college. Every time I read that, I want to laugh. She did it under those kind of conditions the right way. She worked hard for it. People, thank you for coming. I appreciate it very much. I love you all.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. First off, I'd like to thank the Staten Baseball Old Timers Association for making this happen, and everybody that's here for my father, and especially everybody that's here today. Growing up in a home where baseball was just a slight notch below family, the Catholic Church, and academics, I was very lucky. Because of my dad's baseball connections, my family was able to get behind the scenes and meet professional players, professional Hall of Famers as a kid. And one year we even got to ride on the team bus from Shea to Yankee Stadium during the Subway Series. So that was a great experience. As some of you may know, he was the first player in history to be drafted at John Jay College, Division III school up in Upper West Side of Manhattan. He then played 7 years in the Minnesota Twins organization, making it all the way to AAA. And then he did go to a spring training with the Braves in which he threw 10 scoreless innings, only to be brought in by Hank Aaron, the home run king, and told him that they didn't need his services anymore. But my father would be the first to admit that he said he couldn't break a pane of glass by that year. He managed to get back into pro ball as a batting practice pitcher for the Mets, thanks to a connection, Staten Island great Matt Galante, who was the third base coach at the time in the early 2000s. And he's since worked for them on and off for about the last 15, 16 years every summer. And he's also had a great coaching career as well. He started at Monsignor Farrell in 1984 as a JV coach. He's had a great run late. In the last 5, 6 years, he's won 2 city championships, and he's doing it with a program that doesn't give out scholarships, so it's definitely something to be said about that. But despite all these accomplishments, I believe that my father's greatest quality is the person that he is. He truly loves the game of baseball like no other, and he loves the Staten Island baseball community, and he loves events like this, and he really does care about the well-being of his players and where they move on, and he runs into them as well. And as you heard before, Mr. Pecoraro is still talking to his players, and you just keep that bond forever. And just from stepping back and getting older and seeing how he coaches, he's always carried himself with a ton of class. And lastly, as his son, I'm just very happy for him to see him get honored today, because he's put so much hard work into the game of baseball, and the game of baseball has given back to him, but he's put a lot of hard work and effort into the game of baseball. So I'd like to introduce my father, Bob Mulligan.
It's quite an honor to be here today and to be recognized by the Staten Island Baseball Old Timers, and to be in the same group with John Pecoraro, who I have the utmost respect for. While I was playing baseball at Susan Wagner in the late 70s, John was definitely one of the most, I don't want to say loud coaches, but definitely a guy you heard on the field, and you could see the way the kids responded to him. And when we did win our second championship at Farrell in 2017, John went old school on me and sent me not a text message, but a handwritten note to congratulate me personally, and he did say that I only have 1 city championship. Congratulations, you have 2. But John, I think the world of you. Thank you. Also, to be honored on the same day as Ed Elliott, who, there's a guy, no doubt, who did things behind the scenes. He was part and instrumental in forming the first Little League at the Staten Island Little League. I mean, that only says what kind of person he was. And I don't even know Ed, but I know that hearing about him to do something as selfless as that, he has to be an incredible man. And also, Anthony Valvero, congratulations to Anthony today. He's an incredible young man. I've known Anthony since he was 11 or 12 years old. I watched him progress as a baseball player. And back in those times, Anthony was a good player. Nobody thought he would be a major leaguer for 5 or 6 years that he did spend that time in the big leagues. But as he got older, he continued to work hard and he improved. And more than anything,
You know, and he had a remarkable career. He pitched 5 years in the Twins, in the Braves, Red Sox, and Mariners organizations, and yet, you know, he's just a great kid. You can tell, and he walked away on his terms from the game, and not many guys can do that. He had a couple of children and a couple more on the way. He was figuring, right, Anthony? He walked. You know, if you look at his stats, they're incredible. He had an ERA in the low threes. And, you know, I know in the house, when we saw Anthony pitch on television, it was a big deal. We all watched him pitch, so I congratulate Anthony, and he deserves it for sure. Today, aside from my friends from Wesley, there's other special people I'd like to recognize. My wife, Pat, is here. She's been through it all, my time. Pat's from the neighborhood also. We grew up a block apart. Been married since 1982. We've raised 4 great kids together. My daughter Colleen is here. Pat, stand up, please. I know you gotta. I'll get an earful later, but stand up. My daughter Colleen is here. She was hoping to bring her daughter. We became grandparents. Pat and I did last July, or a year and a half ago almost. So we're enjoying that new chapter in our lives. My son Casey's here as well. Casey, I'm proud of him. He works in the 10th precinct. He's a New York City police officer. Rob, who was up here earlier, is a teacher with the Board of Ed. My sister Irene is here. She's more than a sister to me. She's one of my best friends. She knows that. And her husband, Dennis. So I appreciate everybody coming out today to support it. You know, my parents played a big part in it, although they probably didn't think so. You know, my dad died in 1980. He wasn't into sports, he really wasn't. He would go off to work very early and wouldn't get home till 7 o'clock at night. Never got to see any high school games. However, if I needed a ride to a game on the weekends, he certainly always took me to my games, and he was a big supporter. As I was getting better in college, I saw his interest peak, and it was nice when I was drafted by the Twins my first year. Him and my mom took a ride down to Elizabethton, Tennessee to watch me play. And unfortunately, he died about 6 months later, but he did get to see me play professionally, and I know that made him very happy. My mom, I'm very happy to say today that she was my idol in my life. She went home to God 2 weeks ago, but she was an incredible woman, 97 years old, and she's in a better place right now, and I know she's looking down today with a very big smile. My career was great, you know, and it was just a wonderful career. So after my playing days, I had a brief career with the New York City Police Department, and it was brief. It was a little over 4 years, and here I was looking for something to do in my early 30s, and I reached out to Larry Mazzanti, who was coaching the baseball team at Farrell. And Larry got in touch with me, and he said, would you want to come into school? We have an opening with the junior varsity. And that was 1992. And I was excited. I said, sure, this gives me an opportunity to get back into the game. I hadn't been away from the game a little bit, 4 years or so, and I thought to myself, awesome. And so I was very fortunate that Larry offered me that job in 1992, and it was great working under Larry. He's a true gentleman. I picked up things. I picked up how Larry treated his kids. He treated his kids wonderfully, and Larry has 3 daughters. And I thought to myself, you know, these are his boys, but he did a great job with them. And so I did that JV for 6 years. I worked with Larry as his assistant for 3, and then took over Farrell's varsity in 2002. So I'm in my 25th year teaching at Farrell, 28th year coaching, and I still love it. You know, now I will say, there are times I come home after a tough loss, and it's on me. You know, as a coach, John, you probably know it. Smitty, you know it. I look inward if we lose the game, like what I could have done. And I'll be muttering around the kitchen while my wife is making something to eat, and I'll say, maybe I should pack it in, maybe I should pack it, and she stops dead in the track. She says, Bob, there's no way you're retiring from coaching. No way you're retiring. You know, now I start to think, is she really supporting me, or she just doesn't want me in the house that much? So, but there are days like that once in a while, but the truth is, I still really enjoy it. You know, I've been very lucky to work under athletic directors who have given me such great support. Lou Baldessano for many years. It was just excellent to work for. Anything I needed, Lou was there. The last few years it's been Tony Garofalo. Tony's here today, as well as I mentioned Larry before. Tony's excellent. Whenever I need, Tony helps me out. He's always asking me, what can I do for you? You know, and I always appreciate that. It makes my job so much easier. And you know, if you can't coach, and I tell this to people, if you can't coach at Farrell, you can't coach anywhere. I may be biased, but we have the best kids. We have my colleagues. I'm so grateful for having such wonderful colleagues. It's just a tremendous place to work. I look forward each and every day when I go to school and work there. Back there is my table. You know, our program has been successful for a lot of reasons. We get the kids. They're not only smart, but they're athletic. But I've had great assistant coaches over the year. Tommy Conroy, many of you in the room know who Tommy is. Tommy couldn't make it today. He's my right-hand man. But I also have Phil Venturino. Phil couldn't make it today. Anthony Ferrante, another coach with us, is here today. Our JV head coach, Mike Hanrahan, is here, along with one of his assistants, George Beratan. Our freshman guys are here, Tommy Koshin, class of 82, along with Tommy Scarpacci, also class of 82. And it's no coincidence that, we've been doing so well with such great continuity with the coaching staff within the program. And it really makes it easier for me. There are no egos, we have lots of fun, and we really have a great time. I need to mention Richie Potter. Richie's here today. Everybody in Staten Island knows Richie, so if you don't know Richie, make sure you go see him before you leave today. Because you're like the only one who doesn't know him. But Tommy G. Marino, Tommy's at that table also. Tommy coached with me way back in the day, great friend of mine. And every morning, Tommy's the leader of our round table in the athletic director's office, and we always share a few laughs with that. But certainly Farrell has become my second family over the years, and I'm so grateful. And it really is, between the kids and all the people that work there, it really makes my life. I'm very grateful for everything. I'll finish on this note. Jim Bouton, former pitcher for the Yankees and author of Ball 4. I'll take a page out of his book. He said, you spend your whole life gripping a baseball, and in the end, it's really the other way around. Thank you.
Can you hear me? All right. Sure? Not that you want to. All right. Thanks for having me here today, Anthony. To honor you. All right. It's been my pleasure coaching you. Paulette and Torrance, thank you very much for having your son come to Curtis. All right. Kerry, I know you since high school. I know you guys were dating when there was no girlfriends allowed at the field. The guys told me that the girls had a crush on me, but I knew they were lying. All right. Coach Mulligan, congratulations. Thank you for cutting Anthony, who was a 12-year-old All-Star, West Shore Babe Ruth, because it was between Farrell and Curtis, and he came our way, and history has never been the same. Okay? And I have to mention Coach Smitty, because everybody else has. All right? And last year when he was honored, I was the brunt of all his jokes. All right? And Smitty, not for nothing, I went over the record. My time at Curtis against your New York team, we were 7-1. Coach Peck, you should come out of retirement and take his spot, please. All right? Because maybe they'll win some games. Okay? Oh, now let's move on. That's Smitty. All right, good. Okay. All right. So anyway, I'm going to make this quick, right? I promise that. You all know he pitched in the big leagues, St. John's. He came to us for Curtis for 3 years. He validated my coaching career because when he was there, we won. Okay, at least I didn't get fired from that job, right? Mr. Potter, thanks for hiring me. All right. Anyway, in 2001, we were the 18th seed out of 36 teams, I believe. And the first round of the playoffs, we pitched our number 2, we rolled the dice, Peter Bonici, and we saved our number 1, Anthony Vivaro, for the next game. Luckily, we win the first game, because if we don't win the first game, they're gonna, rip me apart. Because, unlike Coach Pecoraro, Coach Mulligan, I've never been to a city championship game. And maybe in the stands, but I never coached or played in one. All right, and I'm not from Staten Island, I'm from Queens, so the Advance would have a field day with me. All right, yeah, okay. That's before the bridge. I'm after the bridge. Okay? But anyway, we go up there and we beat Midwood. We go up to Lehman with the 18th seed playing the number 2 seed. All right? And we go up there and everybody at Lehman's real nice to us. They couldn't wait. They roll out the red carpet, but they don't know we have Anthony on our side. So down the left field line, there's these hedges. So I tell Anthony, go out there and warm up real quick so nobody can see you. All right? And he goes out there, warms up. He's batting 4th that day, so we go up, 3 down. All right, Anthony comes out to the mound. Like I said before, everybody's speaking English. He throws his first pitch, and I thought I was in the third world country. Nobody spoke English anymore. All right, and so lo and behold, we end up winning that game as an 18th seed, 2-0. Anthony strikes out 15. All right, pitches a no-hitter and walks 8 guys with a 3-2 count. I thought we had Vinny Bellard behind the plate, but it was a Bronx guy, we got hosed. Hey, Bruce, you paying attention? Bruce, we got a softball game later, okay? I'm pitching, I want some strikes, right? But anyway, all right, so that year we go on to lose in the semifinals in 2001. It was a magical run, thanks to Anthony. But, Bobby, I have a prop here too, okay? This is like legit, all right? My son was at that game, and my son's he looks up to Anthony. I wish my son was like Anthony. He's not, because, Vivaro's a better parent than I am. All right? My wife's a good parent anyway, okay? But my son found out that Anthony was going in. He had this baseball, I don't know how he found it, but he gave it to me after we beat Lehman. Not that I deserved it, okay? But he gave it to me, and I just want Anthony to come up here now, and I want to show you the same exact thing I did before every game Anthony pitched. Come up there.
I'd like to thank the Staten Island Baseball Old-Timers for presenting me with this Lifetime Achievement Award. When Tony Neverino called me a few months back to congratulate me and tell me I'd be recognized by the Old-Timers Association today, I thought, wow, that's great. But now I have to write a short speech. I figured I had plenty of time, as this day at that time was months away. We fast forward to this morning. At 10 o'clock, I'm standing on the sideline of my son's flag football game, still jotting things down. Something else that came across my mind was, I'm not an old timer. But when I received numerous text messages the other day for my birthday saying, "Happy birthday, old man," I realized that maybe I entered that category. I'm truly honored to be recognized alongside the other individuals today, as well as the past recipients with lengthy resumes full of accomplishments. I attribute my success to being the result of a solid family foundation, which was my support system throughout my journey in professional baseball. My parents worked hard and made many sacrifices to try and put my older brother and myself in the best possible situation, both on and off the field. So I thank them for that. As a parent now, as Coach Mulligan said, I have a small army. I have 4 children. I see how difficult that is as my wife and I deal with life's everyday obstacles with our growing family. My parents taught me that nothing in life is free. If you want something, you gotta earn it. I feel like that was really driven into me at an early age, which ultimately assisted me along my journey to the minor leagues all the way up to the major leagues and beyond. There were also many coaches along the way that were eager to assist me in my journey in professional baseball in many forms, whether it had been through a phone call to check in on me, or a visit to a nearby minor league club, or even assisting with all-season training sessions. I've learned many things about life through baseball. One of the more important ones is that timing is everything, whether it be good or bad. You gotta play your cards no matter what hand you're dealt, and not to worry about the things you cannot control. For today's players, I consider them to be lucky that Staten Island is rich in baseball talent. Young players have access more than ever to dozens of current and former players that have played at the collegiate level and above. A very small number have made it all the way up to the top, which is why I'm honored to be in that category. Therefore, I try to make myself available to pass on as much information as I have to assist younger guys as they chase their dream. I also just like to recognize the rest of my crew that's here. Some couldn't make it out. My older brother is in Jersey right now with my nephew playing playoff fall baseball as he's getting ready to enter high school. He's trying to figure out where he wants to go. He mentioned Farrell a couple of times, but I told him to pump his brakes. So we got 3 kids, 3 boys that are going to need scholarships there eventually. So Coach Mulligan will be sending them your way. Hopefully you stay there. Although Bobby Glenniston down at St. Peter's makes it a point to stay in close contact, so they may end up there. But my father-in-law is here in the back. 2 of my brother-in-laws. My other 2 brother-in-laws, they're firemen, so they both worked late nights last night, so they couldn't make it. But I appreciate all their support, and they were also there along the way for the ride. In closing, I'd just like to thank the Old Timers Association again. I'm really honored. Like I said, I'm very surprised. But I guess my resume is pretty lengthy, but not as lengthy as some of the other individuals, all the other individuals today. But I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me now? And I didn't take my memory pills at the nursing home this morning, so it might be a little tough. Anyway, the fella I'm going to introduce, I'll start it off with, and if you don't mind, I refer to the cards, because don't remember that, but I do remember everything he did. And I think Staten Islanders should understand who this man really is. I think it was 1953. I was a 135-pound shortstop at Newton High School, and another teammate of mine, who happens to be Joe Kosh's uncle, Angelo, were asked to play with the White Rock baseball team, and that consisted of Judge Junior Krecker. Anybody in the room remember him? I doubt it. And there was a lot of ex-pros, and I played ball with Joey Kosh's father. Joe was a hell of a ball player, played some minor league ball, and his second base was Dewey Kosh. Okay, and we'll get through that season. Now we go into, and that's the first year I met the fellow we're going to bring up here in a little bit, Ed Elliott. Okay, 1954 comes. I finish the season. We go on our merry way. Okay. Now I'm going to go through a couple of things in order. 1954, Mr. Elliott went down to the Little League. And his whole itinerary was that he's still there. Eddie'll be 90 next week. Let me just explain what it is. I asked Eddie, because I lost track, I says, what do you do down there? He says, first I was a parent. Well, that made a lot of sense. And coach, manager, 1980-81, he was the president of the Little League. After he finished that, they put him on the board of directors. And after that, he's now on the board of governors, and he sits like the big chief, okay? But that's a lot of years dedicating to kids. Through those years, he was an umpire. He umpired for 40 years. And somebody that probably was the best ball player in the family was his wife. People that don't know it, Gloria Elliott played for the first professional baseball team in the United States. 1950, 51, 52, 53, and 54. And I guess you'd have to say she was probably one of the best pitchers in the United States because there wasn't many people playing pro ball in that category. But she come back, and when later on in the years, when Eddie's wife, etc., one of the coaches in the Little League was Gloria Elliott. And I had 6 kids and 4 girls, and some of them were lucky enough to play for Gloria. She was a sweetheart. 1988. Anybody went to the movies seeing a movie named A League of Their Own? I don't know if anybody remembers that. And it was all about Gloria's team. After the movie was over, they interviewed all the ex-players, and Gloria actually had a speaking part. But the only problem is, Big Ed ended up in the doctor's hospital getting a hip replacement, and Gloria was there holding his hand, but she never made the movie thing. But after all that was all over, Big Ed went along with Gloria to the different events where they honored these people, and I think he toured the United States, going from here to here to here. So, he made out in that respect, okay? 2 to 2 of them, and he's still not on the board. God knows how many kids they coached, went through there. At one time, the Staten Island Little League had 1,500 kids in it, and playing at the same time. You figure out all these years, God knows how many played. Now we'll go to the next thing, all right? Myself. When Eddie went to do the Little League thing, I went away, played a little pro ball, I went in service, blah, blah, blah. And if it wasn't for the curveball, I wouldn't have went in the fire department. But anyway, I come back and I played in the TM League for a lot of years. And I coach kids. There's a lot of you guys out there, I'm glad you come up and said hello, because my memory pills I didn't take. And just to give you an idea, this morning I actually made this tie in one shot. The last time I had to make a tie, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, I think it took me 45 minutes to make the knot. So, but anyway, now we'll go into the next thing. I guess, I don't know, how old I was, 40 years old, whatever I was. I was coaching in the Babe Ruth League, and some of the players are still here. I mean, matter of fact, I think Mr. Medina was a player in that league at that particular time, and some other guys. And I got approached by Mr. Elliott, a guy named Gordon McKinnon. And they said, Billy, we got a spot for you. He says, we found a league that don't throw curveballs. And that was when we used to play Philadelphia. We played them twice a year. Home and home. It was great. The relationships, I think finally we ended up playing the game. We had I don't know if anybody knows, Jimmy Conroy. Jimmy had an autistic son. And finally we said, we got to play for something. And at that time, they weren't doing anything for autism. So we then decided that the Philly Staten Island game would be for autism. And it was very successful. Matter of fact, one night game, I think on our team we had a guy named, anybody here, Bobby Thompson? And the guy playing third base was a guy named Hank Majeski. And there was Jerry Casal was in the outfield. And I just scratched my head. I said, I can't believe this. These are my heroes, and all of a sudden they're on the same field with me. It's pretty nice, And one thing I got to say about Thompson and Majeski, when the game was over, it was at the Berry Projects night, and there was a lot of people there. Bobby Thompson signed every autograph for every kid. He waited till, and God knows how many hundreds there were. And he was the type of guy, when this game would come around, he'd bring in 2 dozen baseballs, sign them, and give them out to everybody. Okay? And this fella out there that's going to come up here in a little while, he was one of the reasons why it went. That man there, the relationships, the friendships he had, it was just a good unity between the two teams, Philly and us. Now we'll go to the thing I think is the most important thing. First, I should have said before, I didn't take my memory pills. This man here was a New York City policeman, cop. He was also a veteran of the Korean War. Now, what I'm going to tell you is the most important thing to me. about him. 1951 to 52, part of 53, that man was over in Korea. He came back in 53, and that's when I hooked up with him. Years went by, and he came home, and he joined the Korean vets, etc. And by the way, when he did come home, he had 5 battle stars and a few other medals. He'd never tell you, but that's it. It ended up, I don't know if anybody's ever been to Kidlehan Park in Middle Beach. Not Middle Beach, excuse me, Newdorf Beach. Memory pills again. Anyway, there was a kid down there named Alan Kidlehan. He graduated PS41, anybody know what it is, and in 1949 he graduated from Newdorf High School, my old alma mater, rah, rah, rah. And what happened, in 1950, Alan Kidlehan got drafted. He went to Korea in 1950, captured by the North Korean soldiers, placed in the camp and executed. 69 years this day, November 3rd, 1950. A year later, I meet this man. And 2 years we're friends. And he used to talk about, they should do something to Alan Kidlehan, name a park or something after him. And about 2000, 2003, Eddie starts to move, whoever he had to do, see what politicians or whatever, to do something for Corporal Alan Kidlehan. In 2011, which I don't know, 7, 8 years later, whatever it was, they named Corporal Alan Kidlehan Park on the corner of Newdorf Lane and Cedar Grove Avenue. Everything he done for kids, thousands of kids that went through Little League. At an old-timer meeting, we used to get 150 guys, 160 guys. I don't know what happened. I guess when they knocked down the Columbian Lyceum, because that's what we needed to have the meetings. It died off a little bit. But that man, and didn't say a word, never look at me, was instrumental in getting that park named after the Corporal Alan Kidlehan. And if you go down there now, they have some billboards with glass enclosures, and you'll see Alan Kidlehan, but you'll also see the young Eddie Elliott about 23, 24 years ago when he was in the service. And because of his efforts, the borough president named him the commissioner of Kidlehan Park. And that's who he is. What he's done for kids, people, it's unbelievable. And like I told you, I wanted to get that part in. To me, throw all the baseball nonsense out. That's the kind of guy I just told you about. He's fantastic. I do this all the time because I thought last year was the last time I had to talk in front of one of these things. Yeah? But I had to cancel the marathon today to come here and do this. But anyway, and I always forget. Bobby Mulligan, John, Anthony, congratulations, you guys are great. I watched every one of you during your times, and you did a lot for kids. And the fella, the last guy up here, all our dreams in the room that ever played ball, he lived it. He went all the way. But anyway. Let me just go through this thing. I see what I missed, and then I'm out of here. In case you don't know it, that is Sergeant Edward Elliott, Korean War veteran, and a hell of a nice guy. He played high school baseball McKee High School. I don't know how many of you guys in the room remember a guy named Sam Blumen. Well, that was Eddie's coach. I think Sam was down here about 103 years, but Eddie played for him. And when I went to the White Rocks, okay, that's the team I told you about when the 135-pound shortstop went and played with the men. We had a guy named Paul Legler who was a member of this club at that time, and another, you know, God bless you. Now, let me look through this thing. This is, I didn't bring this out. This is Mr. Elliott's 65th year down in the Little League. Some of you guys aren't even born. And I told you everything he's done, so you don't get mad at me. I'm up here too long and start throwing things at me. I'll end it, but I'll turn this mic over to one of my favorite guys in life and one of my heroes, Sergeant Edward Elliott.
First, I want to thank the committee. First of all, you sit down, will you relax? I mean, I can't follow Billy Kelly this far. I mean, it's impossible to keep the #1 coach. Little League has been, I guess, the biggest part of my life. The service was a big part. The police department was a big part. But put it all together, got involved with a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life. I just sat with Billy yesterday at my house, and sorry. And I was talking to him about how you mention a name, any name in this room. There's somebody else in this room that knows you, or knows of you, or knows about you. And it's all baseball. So I'm not going to keep on. We've been here a long time. Let you folks go on your merry way. I want to thank again to everybody. Wonderful seeing you, and I've seen people here tonight I haven't seen in a lot of years. And it's been a great time. Thanks a lot.